book. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am never ready for when that happens. This is Heretical Weekends number 52.
If only the person that started the hangout would check with you first.
I'm fucking horrible. This is Heretical Weekends number 52. Wow,
yeah, there you go. If only the person that started the hangout would JD Kane would be proud.
Horrible. Do you have a window open?
You apparently do.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, it was me. Oh, shit. It was me with the echo. I apologize. I thought I had the YouPorn all closed up. No, I guess I was looking. I had videos open that I'm going to reference during the show, so I apologize for the echo.
We'll just edit that out.
Get it right, but, you know, fuck it. Anyway, I'm Mr. Heathen, joined as always by Gavagai.
Howdy.
Howdy, everybody. And I just say right off the bat, fuck Arcane Logos. So I always seem to forget that for some reason. Fuck that prick. Anyway,
on your monitor.
It's on a Post-it note on the corner of my monitor now. And even without the show, I just wake up in the morning and go, fuck Arcane Logos. Fuck that guy. I don't know, just fuck him. But so anyway, what do we have on the plate today? So up on the agenda, sovereign citizens. This was a topic that was brought up to me by Hogtie Champ, I believe. And of course, he was gracious enough to send a link, which I didn't watch. But Gavagai did, because he's responsible, apparently. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. There's a good chance I have a pretty strong opinion on this. And so, and Gavagai is going to culturally enlighten us because he read a book called Queen of something or other.
Katwei.
What's it called?
Queen of Katwei.
Yeah, and they just released a film on it. Now, I saw the trailer for it, and it seemed to be involving Africa and chess. Mm-hmm. But apparently there's some sort of Christian undertone or something, or is that, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but we'll get into that. Yeah, it seemed like a chess movie to me, like an inspirational chess movie, so I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, why is Gavagai even like sending me a link to this, dude? I mean, it's the kind of thing you watch when, you know, with your girlfriend or wife over a glass of, you know, Chardonnay because she wants to watch something that's going to mean, you know, that's meaningful and you want to vomit in your mouth. But it looks like a good movie, so we'll touch on that. It's the kind of shit you're forced to watch with your girlfriend or wife. Let's put it that way. But so Gavagai knows what I'm talking about. He's very
No, I'm the one that wants to watch those movies in our household. My wife is like, let's watch Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like,
your wife is cool then.
Maybe, yeah.
Your wife's a big and cool like me, apparently.
Yeah, she's cool like you.
She's cool like me, exactly. Wouldn't you want to be married to me, Gavi? It's just that, you know, you're almost the same. But all right, so let's jump 2 feet into this because we're already behind. So sovereign citizens, I looked it up on YouTube, and I didn't know if I was watching the right thing because Hogtie had mentioned that, you know, he wanted to see what my reaction would be or something, and I didn't know if it was a person, a group, you know, I didn't know what the fuck it was going into it. Did you know when he mentioned it, Gabby?
Yes, because as I told you a minute ago, I listened to the same podcast that Hogtie. Like, this is a routine podcast that I listen to all the time.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't catch that part.
That's okay. Yeah.
You should know by now I don't really pay attention. Jeez. You're lucky if I'm sober. So, okay. We'll go. Let's do definitions first, and then we'll get into what the podcast says, because that's what kind of triggered this whole thing. So, there's here we go. Hey, my link worked. This is fucking awesome. So let's start with a simple Wikipedia definition, because, you know, I learned everything through Wikipedia because it's so trustworthy. No, but so it says the sovereign citizen movement is a loose grouping of American, Canadian, and Australian litigants, commentators, tax protesters, and financial scheme promoters. Self-described sovereign citizens take the position that they are answerable only to their particular interpretation of the common law and are not subject to any government statutes or proceedings. They do not recognize United States currency and maintain that they are free of any legal constraints. They especially reject most forms of taxation as illegitimate. Participants in the movement argued that this concept in opposition to federal citizens who they say have unknowingly forfeited their rights by accepting some aspects of federal law. You're already laughing. The FBI classifies sovereign citizens as sovereign citizen extremists or as domestic terrorists. In 2010, the Southern Poverty Law Center estimated that approximately 100,000 Americans were hardcore sovereign believers, with another 200,000 just starting out by testing sovereign techniques for resisting everything from speeding tickets to drug charges. Interestingly enough, the sovereign citizen movement was started. They said the movement's origins have its roots in the white extremist group Posse Comitatus, which I just fucking brutalized that. But apparently, if you this group is a far-right social movement in the U.S. starting in the late 1960s, whose members spread a conspiracy-minded anti-government and anti-Semitic message in the name of white Christians to counter what they believe is an attack on their social and political rights. Now, while in all fairness, the videos that I saw didn't have anything to do with race, or Christianity, so I don't want to put that out there. However, most of the videos, from what it looked like to me, was a bunch of whiny bitches that didn't want to get parking tickets or pay taxes. And what it amounts to is, if you go on YouTube and you type in sovereign citizens, you'll see a shit ton of compilation videos and all sorts of like sovereign citizens getting owned, sovereign citizens getting arrested, that kind of thing. And basically, it's people that get pulled over and they don't want to show their ID or their registration or they're at a stop. They don't want to acknowledge any officer's questions, which results in the officers basically breaking the window and arresting them, as now they're impeding an investigation. So, Gavi, have you had any experience? To tell us about this podcast now.
Yeah.
This is the first you're hearing about it outside the podcast, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I didn't really pay much attention to it, even in the podcast. I mean, they had a section on it, but the podcast is the Opening Arguments podcast, which is a legal skeptics podcast where they have a legal expert. I mean, he's like a graduate of Harvard Law who's practiced for many years in DC, and he knows his stuff. He's very smart, and but anyhow, they take questions from podcast listeners, and they also address topics. A lot of what they've dealt with in the recent years has, it's really only existed for probably close to a year now, but is dealing with what's happening with the White House and things, and what are the legal implications for what's going on there, and blah blah blah. But anyways, one of the listeners wrote in, and his uncle was trying to tell him that it was unconstitutional for states to have like tollways where you're forced to pay a toll in order to travel, and the rationale for this was something about in the Constitution that it says that you have the right to travel between states and things, and right. And so the lawyer on the show, what's his name? I should know it, but I can't recall it off the top of my head. No, but anyways, he explained that this is not a correct interpretation of the Constitution, and you would be laughed out of any court and basically forced to pay fines and things anyhow. So pay your tolls. Right. Is the bottom line. And he referenced the fact that this type of argument is typical of this sovereign citizen movement and things. But it was really nothing more than a mention of the group, and he essentially said that anytime he hears any arguments kind of put forward by these people, that it's always something that's just so ridiculous that it's absurd.
Right. There's a quote I have here from the Associate Chief Defender in Alberta, Canada, by a fellow named J.D. Rook. I guess it could be a female, but I don't know any females that go by JD. It says, this is from Rational Wiki. This category of litigant shares one other critical characteristic. They will only honor state, regulatory, contract, family, fiduciary, equitable, and criminal obligations if they feel like it. And typically they don't. Which seems pretty much the case. Hey, this is not the window I wanted to share. That's my wiki. Yeah. Fucking awesome. So there's something I wanted to share, which apparently I can't do because they didn't give me the option to share that window. Give me a second. No, it. Huh. Hold on. Gavagai, go vamp about something for a second while I find this.
Sometime we should do a show where we talk about the podcast that we enjoy, because
we prepare for shit. You know, it opened up the link in Explorer for whatever reason, and it doesn't share screen. It doesn't bring that up automatically when you give the option for the shared screen. So
you're using Internet Explorer?
No, it opens it up automatically.
Oh, okay.
when I share screen. So here we go. Quit your whining, people. All right, so I'm gonna white box this, and it's always like a bad feed, so bear with me.
But we told you he's an Article 4 free inhabitant, so he does not have to have a license. This is on recording.
Turn it up.
Pursuant to the Articles of Confederation, you can look it up. It's in the United States Book of Codes. It is your laws you have to follow. Article 4, free inhabitant, pursuant to the Articles of Confederation.
If it records, that's fine. But I don't want you holding anything.
No weapons. All right. No.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is the same thing.
Get out of the car?
Yes.
No, I'm not getting out of the car.
All
you can go get your superior.
Well, I'm going to tow this car, and you cannot be in the vehicle while I'm towing this vehicle.
Well, if you go get your superior, he'll clarify that he can be set free because he does not have to have a license.
Right now, young lady. So either you're going to come out of the car on your own free will, or I'm going to assist you.
I'm going to get out of the car and walk down to that house.
No, you are not free to leave right now.
Are you saying you have authority over me?
Yes, I do.
You have proven authority over me.
Yes, I do.
How did you do that?
County of Imperial through the sheriff.
You do not have authority over a human being, over a free inhabitant.
Do you want to argue the point?
You need to go look up your laws.
I don't have to look at anything right now. Get you out of the vehicle. You have identification. Hand the identification over to me.
No.
Identify yourself to me.
And I'm not going to step out of the vehicle.
Fuck, her voice is annoying.
You are impeding my investigation. You are delaying me, which is a penal code violation in the state of California.
That law only applies to U.S. citizens.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there because I want to kind of get your opinion, because it's a 5-minute video. We're obviously not going to watch the whole thing. So what do you think so far?
Well, the Articles of Confederation weren't ratified by the states, which is why we don't have Articles of Confederation as our chief federal law. It's the U.S. Constitution. The Articles of Federation failed, and we adopted the Constitution instead.
Right. Yeah, so, I'm getting to that next.
Anybody that's citing Articles of Confederation as having standing or any kind of legal authority clearly has no idea what they're talking about.
So I'm going to skip there. There's 3 key points. That was the first one because I wanted to give you an idea of what how her attitude is and what the officer was, what she was saying to the officer initially. Here's her actually getting out of the car.
No, I'm not.
Take the bag off.
No, I'm not.
You're raping me.
How's that working for you, lady?
So he goes to put her hands behind her back.
The police don't get paid enough to put up with it.
Yeah, and then I'm sure there's a very loose definition of rape. Obviously,
yeah, right.
I doubt he was raping her against a truck on the side of the freeway. He's probably trying to put her hands behind her back and handcuffing her because he's going to arrest her. But Here is the end. This is why when I have friends and stuff and they post all these like negative police officer memes, I'm generally sticking up for officers, and because while you may run across the guy that's having a bad day or whatever, you have no idea. I've had friends that are cops, and you have no fucking idea what these guys go through. I would have ran amok in a murder spree long ago. I don't have the temperament, but here's the end.
You can't have this big camera.
You can go get your superior. Go get, and I'm waiting right here. Go get your fucking superior.
People are so dumb. Yeah, I saw a meme on Facebook today that was dealing with police, and it said, it was one of those where it said me, and had something that the person says, and then them, and then me, so it was this fake exchange or whatever. So the first thing said something like, it's not illegal to be rude to a cop, and then them said, well, if you poke a bear, you're bound to get eaten or something like that. And the me response was, that's why we don't make bears police. And okay, point taken. There's responsibility on both sides.
Right.
If you're going to be a dick,
yeah,
you're going to put the person in bad mood, and just be polite. You don't go into a store and act like a rude person. A police officer is doing their job for the most part. Now, there's legitimate complaints and things, but don't start off by giving bad attitude and things.
This is
badge number. Can I get the badge number?
Can you turn it up?
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Apparently, I can't.
Man, what right do you have to?
I can hear it better now.
Sir, let me see your driver's license.
Can you hear it?
A little.
Crap. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know if I can turn it. It's not my mic or anything, but it's at max volume.
As a man, I'm asking you as a man, what right do you have to stop another man?
State of Texas is giving me the right to enforce the law.
Enforce the law.
50, 40 mile an hour speed zone.
I'm speeding. Did you realize in the state of Texas that speeding in and of itself is not illegal? Well,
sir, I'm going to tell you one more time.
Okay.
Driver's license,
all right.
otherwise, I'm going to charge you for failure to identify.
Okay. I'm still having to ask you a question here. That is how it works. Either that or I'm going to have to ask you to get your supervisor, because I'm still asking you some questions. So I would like to know why you stopped me. Because stopping me for speeding in and of itself is not a crime. According to the state of Texas, the actual is the the attorney general, not the attorney general, but the prosecutor, the DA. So the DA is the one that stated on page 19 that speeding in and of itself is not a crime. It is not illegal. And I am not going to. Do you have a warrant for my arrest? Then obviously, if you don't have a warrant for my arrest, then
so
do not have
this goes on
to
for
ask me
the next. Now they're still going at it. It's a couple minutes later.
So in the state of Texas,
how patient is this guy?
Very.
How patient is this cop?
Yeah.
Now check out what. Okay, so they go.
The laws only. Now you are going. I need you to call, and I need you to get your supervisor out here. I need your supervisor out here. I need your supervisor. I am asking him for his supervisor. I am asking you for your supervisor. Okay, officer, I am asking you for your supervisor to come out here. Now you have busted my vehicle up, and now you are going to detain me. You are illegally getting into my vehicle. And now you have taken my bar.
It's like the end of the Blair Witch Project. You know? So you will find countless videos. That's a compilation video, but that one it's like 20 minutes long or something, and it's essentially them like, you know, questioning cops and stuff, and then when they don't receive an answer they go, well, I want to speak to your supervisor, and you know, it's a big fucking troll. I say it as a big trolling, you know. When I worked at a bar, like when I was younger, and when it came time that the bar was, because it was like a lounge in the beginning, so people can eat in there up until 9 o'clock, like underage people, like families and stuff.
Yeah.
After 9, it became sort of like a nightclub, so we had to card everybody that was in there, and there was a certain group of people. I don't know like why they would do this, but they would always go, "What?" Every time you ask them a question, and you go, "Hey, you know, bars, you know, the club starts at 9. You know, can I see your IDs, please?" And they go, "What?" And you're just like, "I need to see your ID so I can stamp your hand so you can stay in the bar." And they go, "What?" Like that, and they make you, after about the second or third time, you're just like, "Fuck you, dude! I know you heard me, right? Like, quit being an asshole." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or the best part is, I've dealt with situations where people are, let's say someone got knocked out in the parking lot, right? We're all running out there, and there's like 5 guys like standing around one guy who's obviously like they're holding one guy back who has clenched fists. He's angrily yelling at the guy he knocked out at he allegedly knocked out on the floor, right? So we go out there. Obviously, we're gonna address that guy first. And even though, let's say, even whether we had a witness or not, we could have like 10 witnesses, and the guy's like, "Do you have any ocular evidence? Like, do you have me on camera? Do you have me on film?" Like, you know, that's their thing. It's like, if you don't have it, you know what I mean? Like, if you do, and even if you show it to them on film, like on a security camera, they go, "No, that's not me." And so it doesn't matter. It's like, there's these people out there that are just fucking morons. Now, it's funny that you mentioned the Articles of Confederation, and here's why. So the article that they're referring to says, Article 4, by the way, it says, the better to secure and perpetrate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in the Union. The free inhabitants of each of these statutes, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice accepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states. And the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other state, and shall enjoy therein all the privileges of trade and commerce, subject to the same duties, impositions, and restrictions as the inhabitants thereof, respectively. Now that's a lot of hoopla, right? But to address your point, it says, I was poking around online, of course. It says, where did I find this? Anything in the U.S. Constitution that conflicts with the Articles of Confederation would result in whatever the U.S. Constitution says taking precedence. Anything in the Articles of Confederation that does not conflict with the U.S. Constitution is still legally in effect. So, which addresses the point you just made earlier, right?
Right. Well, and it's still legally in effect because the Constitution was ratified. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's just by caveat that it's in there because that was like the first draft, their first run at trying to create a binding federal set of rules and laws. So
it was their beta test.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's okay. So from the FBI page, actually, just funny, FBI.gov has some verbiage on this. It says, today we look at a third threat, the sovereign citizen extremist movement. Sovereign citizens are anti-government extremists who believe that even though they physically reside in this country, they are separate or sovereign from the United States. As a result, they believe they don't have to answer to any government authority, including courts, taxing entities, motor vehicle departments, or law enforcement. This causes all kinds of problems and crimes. For example, many sovereign citizens don't pay their taxes. They hold illegal courts that issue warrants for judges and police officers. They clog up the court system with frivolous lawsuits and liens against public officials to harass them. And they use fake money orders, personal checks, and the like at government agencies, banks, and businesses. So I would like to know, like, if they don't recognize, like, the law, like, what do they do? And like, if someone breaks into their house, Like, what is the sovereign citizen like ruling for that?
They'd probably shoot him, or would try to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. Like, they probably some like, early or was it late 1800 ruling that they can shoot an intruder or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, from a sort of outside looking in perspective, it seems like a lot of those people that do you remember that Ruby Ridge shooting like a billion years ago? They made a movie out of it where I don't remember how it went, but it's kind of like those guys that that occupied that national park or whatever. It's like they didn't pay their taxes or something, and the government went to like go arrest them or something, and they had to shoot out with like agents and police, and they all got killed because we don't recognize your government, that kind of thing. It's like they live in the woods, backwoods, militia style.
Yeah.
But for the young people, right? I was beginning to think that it was a young people thing when I first started watching these videos, because in a lot of the videos it is young people. But when you look at the court videos, there'll be court videos where judges are like, "Fuck your bullshit," you know what I mean? Like here's your fine, but it's really people of all ages. So
yeah, I have my dad's got a cousin that I wonder, because we never interacted with him very much at all. I don't think I ever met him, but my dad would get, I think, emails from him and stuff, and kind of like only mentioned that it was kind of crazy stuff, and I would ask, well, like, what is it? And he would say, oh, he doesn't pay taxes and some other stuff that he believes about, the government. So I wonder if he was a sovereign citizen. And now I've got to go ask my dad about his cousin.
Now I got to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's oh, hey, look, I actually opened up the the other funny part of the these videos is they always taser these guys, which is pretty funny. It's always funny to see someone get tasered, and I don't know why. Maybe it's from like that sort of jackass kind of mentality, but it's like it's always fun when they're just like I don't consent as they're being arrested, and then they hear a guy go taser, 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 and then the guy go like off camera, as the cell phone camera just like jumbles around and falls into like the driver's seat. It's so awesome. You don't
have to consent. This is happening whether you consent or not.
Yeah, it's like how do you how do they even operate? I mean, let's say they go to like Sprouts or like Whole Foods or something. I mean, it's just state and federal law, right? So they don't. What does it extend to like corporations? Like if they don't feel like they have to pay for something, can they just make shit up?
I don't know.
I mean,
we'll have to look into it more.
But I mean, what's the point of it though? I mean, really, like what's the end game? Like. Why the fuck would you even adopt? I mean, I could see if you're some fucking like backwoods hillbilly living in the fucking Appalachians, right? You don't know what's fucking going on or whatever. But like, if like the young lady in the first video, right? First of all, how does anybody fucking put up with that voice? I have no idea. Can you imagine that voice? Like it looked like they were like driving to like Las Vegas, or they were driving on some freeway. And I couldn't imagine being on the road for more than 15 minutes with that girl like yakking in my fucking ear, like can you imagine like if she's mad at you or something? Holy shit! But anyway, to have to fucking put up that with a cop, the guy's like the guy deserves some sort of medal. I think he's just like young lady.
He was very patient.
Yeah, and so for every one of these videos where they show like cops being dicks, they should just play these videos. Like, look, I got one right back at you, dude. This guy's being cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I don't understand it coming from young people. Like, I don't get it. Is it sort of like that weird, like, new millennial type thing where, like, you're triggering me, you're raping me? Like, I don't think they've thought it out, through that much that they. I don't know. Like, do you watch that show Portlandia?
I have seen it, yes.
they're so they have this reoccurring skit where it's like the feminist bookstore.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Okay, so
Yeah.
there was air condition was broken, and the repair guys come in, and they're talking back and forth for a second. The repair guy's like, "So, where's your unit?" And they're like, "What did you just say?" He's like, "Where's your cooling unit?" And she's like, "Just can you stop saying unit? Can you stop saying unit? Every time you say unit, all I see is like penis, penis, penis. You're raping me at this point." Like, it's so funny. Like,
It's a funny show.
It's kind of the ridiculousness. Like I would love to like sit down for like an hour and just pick this chick's brain. Like what goes to your fucking mind when you sit there one day, you know, and your buddy or your boyfriend or whatever sits you down and says, "Hey, there's this great thing called sovereign citizenship where, you know, you don't gotta like obey any laws, and you know you can mouth off to cops and shit, and they can't arrest you and this and that."
I'm sure it's not presented that way. You know, I'm sure they probably just, you know, we're talking with somebody about some kind of generic scenario, and then the person's like, "No, that's bullshit. Here's why," and lays out some kind of argument, and they don't know enough about anything to see through it, and then, you know, now they're sucked into this person's ideology, and they give them links and stuff, and start, you know, taking them down this path, probably before they ever know that it's called sovereign citizenship, or, you know, what anybody has to say about it.
Do you think it comes from? Do you think it comes from? Oh shit, dude! I've fucking had me all widescreen this whole time. Ha. Do you think it comes from this general distrust for like government and police officers, and that's why it's sort of caught on some level?
No, I think it's probably just, you know, that, like I said, they are probably more than likely that it's just something that, you know, people just started talking about, or, you know, that on Wikipedia there's some book that I think kind of got it started. American Scientific Affiliation by Dennis L. Fucht. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Feucht. American Militias, Rebellion, Racism, and Religion. Oh wait, no. Okay, so those books described a theory of Richard MacDonald, a sovereign citizen leader. So this is, yeah. So MacDonald is kind of the founder, I guess. And he asserts U.S. citizens, or 14th Amendment citizens, have civil rights legislated to give the freed black slaves after Civil War rights comparable to the unalienable constitutional right of white state citizens. So there's clearly, like, at its like founding and core, it sounds like this was very kind of based in racism and had racist roots. But so, you know, I'm sure that it has spread beyond that, because I don't think we would be hearing about it, you know, to the extent that we, you know, even the limited amount we've heard about it, and looked into it in the last few days. I don't think there would be as much content out there if it was just, you know, purely based on racism.
Can I just say one other thing I noticed in these videos, now that you mention it, is and Ringleader 61, who's in our live chat, he said it was started by a white supremacist in the 70s, and I think the second paragraph I read said it has its roots in that sort of thing, like you just mentioned. But I did notice that all the people in the videos were Caucasian. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's just a coincidence or not. It could be. I have no idea, but I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't think that the root of it has to necessarily be tied to that, because I think there's enough garbage argumentation about, you know, these other laws and things like the, you know, the Federalist Papers and things. You don't have to tie it to the Constitution even, and so I don't think you even have to. There's nothing inherently racist about this idea that we don't have to be abide by the authority of any government body if we don't want to. And that's, but it's ridiculous. I mean, and I think people probably get sucked into it just, hearing from some relative or friend that, someone's, the way their situation was handled by a police officer or in the courts was not
Right.
constitutional and things. And, oh, well, now, I guess, that I should stand up for this because,
now that's a good point, actually. And everybody has a friend or knows someone that has said, they got a speeding ticket and they go, well, here's what you do. Because
Right.
I went to the court and I fought this and I asked, the X, Y, and Z, and the cop had no answer. So they let me go. So blah, blah, blah. And they tell this story like they won the fucking Purple Heart, but
Right.
It's like, I've had, like, you agreed, right? Almost instantly when I brought that up, but it's like, It's kind of like that. I can imagine someone saying, hey man, they're, it's illegal. They do this and that. And then, if they arrest you, then you can sue them and da, 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 da,
Right. Yeah. I mean, if people, a common thing that people will tell you is, when it's legal for a cop to search your car or, look in your, on your person for things or whatever. And, and some of it is probably true and some of it is not true. Some people have very little understanding of the law, but a lot of times feel very free to just talk as if they know what they're talking about and tell other people, well, this is what's going on with the law, and this is, I know what I'm talking about, just believe me. And if people are confident in the way they present it, then a lot of people are going to kind of get suckered into those kinds of things, I would imagine. So
it's just so weird to me. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be weird to me because we talk about religion all the time on this show. We're like, fuck, how can this guys be so gullible? And then, we constantly talk about people that believe in like magic entities that, fucking create universes and shit. And so we're like, hey, so it really shouldn't surprise me. What surprises me really is the level of arrogance that happens, like I live in a very urban downtown area, right? There's shops and shit. I walk around all the time and there's, cops and homeless people, this and that. And if I was walking along, like walking my dog or whatever, and a cop approached me and he said, hi, can I see your license or whatever? I'd go, yeah, here you go. Like, I would just be like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I would get, I wouldn't start shit. I wouldn't. I don't know why it would even need to at that point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can go, well, you can ask him what, as I'm handing it to him, I would be like, wow, what's going on? I would ask him, because it's kind of a strange thing, but I wouldn't go, no, you need to tell me first. And I need to see your supervisor and blah, blah, blah. Cause that's going to get you a fucking kneecapped or that's going to get you tased. But why, to prove a point? You know what I mean? You're going to lose. They have to know they're going to lose in court. Is it the idea like once they lose or once they get tasered, then they have the video of them saying, see, this is police brutality, or this is,
there's like civil disobedience kind of thing, where we should all stand up and they can't beat us all up if we all resist. But
yeah, Hogtie Champ put in the chat, he said, religion, nearly 100% of modern sovereign citizens are evangelical Christians, usually young earthers, some flat earthers.
Interesting.
He said, oddly, this is true of sovereign citizens in Canada, the UK, and Australia, even where evangelicism is rare. Hogtie Champ is a fountain of information in text. Thank you for that.
I would like for him to source that information.
We don't believe you. Can I see your supervisor?
Yeah.
I don't really have to do any research. We can just start the hangout, and then Hogtie can feed me information in the chat, and it'll look like I know what I'm talking about.
I was watching a video completely unrelated to this, but this guy was like, yeah, it was for a cube, one of my puzzle cubes, like Rubik's cubes kind of thing. But anyways, it's a young kid, and he's like, yeah, this was invented by blah blah blah, and he was like, or maybe it's blah blah blah. I don't know the name. He's just put it in the text. Like, you couldn't look that up before you started the video, or stop the video because it was clearly an edited video.
Right.
Just, I don't know. It just seems silly. Like, just tell me what the right answer is.
That's funny. I can imagine Hogtie sitting there in his dining room, and I think like it's what I think Hogtie and Skylar have the same setup. It's like a laptop on a dining table facing the wall. Like they're always like at this dim light with like this wall like right behind them. I always imagine them like in the corner in the dining room because like the wife's in the living room watching America's Got Talent or something and they don't want to be disturbed. And so we're just that's how I imagine it. I don't know. It's just anyway. So I don't know what's going to become of this sort of thing. I mean, is this something that you think is going to have a future, or is this going to be one of those things that just sort of dies out over time? I mean, I'm sure it's always going to be there on some level because there's always going to be some fucking, backward motherfucker that is going to be fighting the law. But
it's so hard to predict something like that because, some of it depends on, just getting publicity. Like some celebrity takes, gets sucked into it, and now it's out there. And even
right.
Even then, maybe it, people look into it and then it just gets made fun of, so it doesn't ever take off, or maybe enough people buy into it that it starts becoming a thing and actually has to be addressed by other laws or something like that. Who knows? Like
Kylie Jenner gets into like a car accident and then like so she claims like sovereign citizenship and now it's on the cover of like Tiger Beat magazine and and then it becomes a movement and then it's on the cover of Vanity Fair and fucking GQ and you know what I mean?
Magazine. Where did that come from?
That came from like my childhood and like the fucking 90s, okay? Like whatever the fucking kid magazine is now. I don't know. Like is there like a Teen Vogue or it's like Teen Vogue now or whatever. Anyway. I could imagine some fucking, some fucking Rhodes Scholar like Kylie Jenner, falling into that sort of thing. I can't even say Justin Bieber anymore because I think that guy is getting his shit together. But someone like that, some airhead, that's just going to be like, oh, well, like I totally claim like sovereign citizenship, like that kind of thing. That's how I imagine it goes anyway.
Could be.
So anyway, yeah, I'm going to be watching these videos like while I'm at work on my phone. Because they're so funny, and someone actually asked me on the cubicle wall on the other side. They go, "Hey, what are you laughing at?" And I just had to be like, "I can't. Yeah, it's not something you want to talk about at work, but I'm laughing. I didn't realize I was laughing out loud. But when the girl was yelling, like, "You motherfucker! You son of a bitch!" and he's like dragging her in the car and shit. He wasn't putting up with none of that bullshit. I was just like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." So anyway. I think I think we're tapped on sovereign citizens for the moment. So anyway, we're going to move on to something that Gavagai brought up. And this may or may not be as funny as sovereign citizens. I can't say. I'll have to dig into my my like old I can't make any joke. It's gonna be hard to make jokes, really. I can make chess jokes, but I can't make African jokes. I think that's gonna be the issue.
Yeah.
So there was a link that you provided me, Gabby, called Queen of Katwei.
Yeah.
And it was released, and I saw the trailer on IMDb. I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. And it looks like one of those inspirational movies where a young poor African female, for the most part, learns to play chess to get by, whether it's a distraction of her life or whatever the case may be. She has an interest in it. Then she becomes really, really good. And it's kind of like this inspirational story. On the surface, I wondered why you would send me this link, because we really isn't something that we generally talk about, chess or Africa or Africans that play chess. So then he mentioned something about Christianity in Africa, and I don't know if that's a direct tie into the movie, which is based on a novel. But Gabby, if you can give us a
true story.
Oh, I thought it was a
biographical account.
Oh, but it's a book. It's not fiction. It's nonfiction. Yeah. Okay. So kind of give us a rundown on what this is about.
Yeah, well, you had the general scenario right. It's like a feel-good story. A girl, she's in the slums of Kampala, Uganda, and she's living with her mom. Her mom is a single mother. She's got a couple brothers and sisters, but they're really like living in this tiny shack that's probably smaller than your bedroom there, and that's the space they live in. Dirt floor. It's just really they're the poorest of the poor in a poor country.
Right.
And have to move from place to place because their landlord kicks them out because they can't afford the kids. The mom goes to try and sell food and whatever in the marketplace. She can't afford to keep the kids in school, so the kids are just running around this slum area all day long, all by themselves, until she comes home late at night and hopefully has a little bit of food for them.
Sounds like Detroit.
Yeah, worse than that.
Just kidding.
But anyhow, meanwhile, there's this teacher there. He's involved with this sports program, and in the movie, it's I think they may mention that it's a sports ministry, with Christian ties, and there's some mention here or there about God, but it's not overt. And I really enjoyed the movie, which is why I went ahead and got the audiobook and listened to it.
You're way into it.
Yeah, well, I like chess, and so. But anyways, this teacher mentor guy, in addition to doing soccer, he decides, well, not all of the kids like soccer, so I'm gonna teach some of the kids to play chess, and so he starts this kind of chess club activity after the soccer kids play, and the girl gets involved with this soccer with the chess group, and starts playing, and she does really well, and the teacher has a handful of the kids that are really into it and doing well, and he decides to take them to a tournament, and not to, I guess this is pretty much full spoilers anyhow, but she does really well in the first tournament, and then just kind of progressively goes on to just do exceptionally well in tournament after tournament. And she goes on to the national level. She goes, has an opportunity to play in Sudan, and there's a tournament there. And so, and eventually she ends up playing in a tournament in Russia with her national team from Uganda. And so I won't spoil all of it, but
it sounds like Slumdog Millionaire in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is. It's just something that she's just got a natural inclination for, and and the teacher guy is really an amazing person in and of himself. The fact that he dedicates so much time to all of these kids. He does, goes way above and beyond to try and provide opportunities for them. Through his program, he's able to help secure funding for them for school. And so like several of the kids that never would have had a chance to go to school end up going to school. In the book, this is not talked about in the movie, but in the book, the girl, her name is Fiona. She has opportunities to teach chess to some of the kids that live in Kampala, in kind of the more urbanized and affluent parts of the city. And she ends up, she walks there. She gets paid a fee by the parents who want their kids to learn good chess from this, international level player. but when she goes back home, she's going back to this, you know, little shack, and there's this, you know, huge contrast between the life that she lives and the people that she's going to, you know, do chess coaching with. So
is there any overt like Christian message in this video or video movie?
So no, the movie is done by Disney, and like I said, you know, there's a few mentions, but that's why, you know, I wanted to talk about this in the book. First of all, I didn't feel like the book was super well written. It was interesting in that it gave more insight and an in-depth kind of coverage of the teacher guy and his life story, and then some of these other people that were kind of involved with this, you know, quote unquote sports ministry, but there were ties back to like Jerry Falwell and some really really very conservative Christian groups in the U.S. And so they're taking their religious message into these countries. And now, so this is really what I wanted to talk about. It's just so sad, you know, that I'm at one, you know, on the one hand, it's so inspiring to see this girl, you know, get opportunities that she wouldn't have had otherwise to go, you know, better her life. She's got an education now. She's actually, you know, getting some income from this. But at the same time, like her and her mom and her family, everything that happens that's good, they're like, oh, God has done this and that. And, you know, the mom is, you know, particularly sucked into all of the religious trappings. And, you know, she thinks that she's had these visions of this and that. And you know,
nobody asked her mom, like, if they're so blessed, why did God fuck everybody else over and made them completely poor and die?
Well, and you know, and even in their own family, things are messed up. Like the oldest sister, she keeps basically prostituting herself, you know, and has all of these kids now that the rest of them have to take care of, and it's because the sister didn't have the same opportunities with chess or with the education.
God didn't like her.
And, you know, and it's very probable that she's contracted HIV.
Yeah. It's like, wouldn't you go, wow, dude, God's totally looking out for us in this whole situation. And then you look, and then you walk outside and there's like 20,000 people dying of like AIDS and HIV positive.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah. And
this kind of sucks.
Like all of their possessions would be lost because of like annual flooding that would come and just completely sweep through the whole town, and it's like all of our stuff is gone, and we had to start over from zero. You know, it's just really.
I'm just glad. No, go ahead.
No, just you know, to me it seems like, well, wouldn't they be so much better off with, you know, the education and things? You could have provided all of that without heaping the superstitious crap on top of it that I would argue is impeding them from further, you know, learning and education and opportunities and just skepticism that would benefit them and their family and their whole town.
Well, you know, are you now referring to what they included in the
in the book? This is in the book. Okay,
because I mean, if it's a true story, I mean, well, it's a true story, but yes, that can be, you know, like when you see a movie trailer and it says based on true events or based on a true story, you know, it can be farther from the fucking truth. So I'm assuming this one's a little more, you know, tight with the facts because it's about. I think so, yeah. But if that's how her mom really was, and to accurately represent, you know, the way her mom was, maybe, you know, that was included. I mean,
no, yeah, I don't fault the author from including it. Although I will say, I think that even in the representation of it, it was not represented as, you know, this was what the mom said. You know, journalistically, it was like, this is the fact that you know, God did, you know, X, Y, and Z, and you know, my wife, she's like, you know, when she described, because I would listen to it on my Bluetooth speaker and stuff as I was doing chores around the house and things, and she'd walk through the room and be like, "What are you listening to?" And you know, it's very preachy and whatever. And she said she compared it to, you know, when you're young and you're watching a movie and the movie has like one sex scene in it or something like that, and your parents inevitably walk in the room, you know, and like, "What are you watching?" You know, but it was every time she walked in the room, it was, you know, preachy and God is doing this and that and whatever, and you know, it was just, it took it all on at face value that the views expressed by these people was factually the matter, and that so I'm pretty sure that the author is a believer and was in part affirming their story. And it was also like kind of like, you know, it didn't overtly request funds, but it was you know, clearly advocating, you know, if more money had been given or more money was given to this program, it could help more kids and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure in the printed book, there's probably, you know, either website or
go to this
somewhere
link
where you can link through to contribute to the program.
Can I just say, there's one, when I saw the trailer, there's one impressive thing that I saw in the trailer. I mean, it's a very Hollywood trailer, so it's well done. But can I just say, I'm glad they didn't whitewash this one, Hollywood. I mean, because this would have been horrible as a. I mean, it's pretty authentic looking. It looks like a well-crafted movie. You know, they didn't cram like Channing Tatum in there as like her teacher or some mentor or something. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, suddenly.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the actors that they got, I think were, I don't know if they were local, but they certainly weren't like, you know, big name Hollywood actors, right. But the cast was still good. You know, the actors were good. Yeah. The kids did good in it.
It looked well acted from the trailer.
Yeah. It was well produced. I think the direction was good, and the script was well done. I highly recommend the movie. I think it's you know, especially if you're looking for something that's, you know, not super light, but it's not dark either, but it also doesn't just paint, you know, this happy clappy scenario. It shows the real hardships that the family went through, to, you know, to some extent, to the extent you can do that in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get positivity out of, you know, like a poor village in Africa, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, they got a lot of shit that they're dealing with. But yeah, it sounds good. I may check it out. I think it's on Netflix. It has to be. What isn't on Netflix? But I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure. I'll try to check it out. But
I think it's been added. Yeah, somebody at work, some people were talking about it at work, and someone mentioned that it was on their Netflix list. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if it'll make it on my watch list or anything, but it'll be right there after Captain America: Civil War and Doctor. For some reason, I'll watch those movies like over and over and over again. You may be shocked at this, Gavagai, but I watch a lot of superhero movies. Now I know that kind of may come as a shock to you, but yeah. So
I like superhero movies. All right, some of them.
Yeah, but you're not waiting in line like I am or shit like that, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not waiting in line. I'm not dressing up as characters.
I'd love to see you in a cosplay. That'd be hilarious. Like I would drive up to Los Angeles to Hollywood to go watch. I watch Deadpool up there and Suicide Squad, and I'd make like a special trip to like go to a cool theater. You know, it's like I can't go just like an Edwards or something. Fuck that, or an AMC. I have to go to like, you know, some special fucking Hollywood big, you know, the Egyptian theater or something where, you know, you feel special and you pay $14 for a drink, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, I think that's all we got for the Queen.
Well, I want to say one last thing. You know, to me, the takeaway from this was, you know, if you see charities, be sure that what you're giving to, you know, if you're if you are of a secular mind, give to secular charities that don't proselytize, and you know, you can do good work, and I think a lot of the good work that is done even by religious charities is offset by the superstitions, because I think that it's just so damaging. And I hear these families that are in such desperate straits, you know, in situations like this, this family's story, and it's just like, man, you know, if they could get that education and get skepticism and rationality out of it rather than superstition, how much further along could they be, and how much time and energy and resources are wasted, you know, in inculcating them with these religious texts and religious ideas that, you know, could be spent otherwise, you know, on things that were actually productive and helpful to them in the real world.
We can't even get that in this fucking country.
Yeah.
I mean, Africa is going to be a whole nother fucking animal, man.
Yeah. But you know, it contributes to, you know, all of these conservative Christian groups that went into countries like Uganda and Rwanda and different places and things. Well, you know, there's superstition run rampant there, you know, where they're, you know, beating up homosexuals, and somehow they got it in their heads that albinos were like witches or had magic powers and things, and it's really tragic and messed up. I mean, you can look, and there are like there are now some secular charities and things, groups that are going in and have basically essentially set up the equivalent of a leper colony for children, or what's the word I just used? Now it's gone from my head. The people that don't have the skin pigmentation.
Oh, that ziggurat that Michael Jackson had.
Well, no, but when they're born.
Oh shit! They're being fucking like murdered and hunted and shit.
Yes. Yeah, are you looking at it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And so they set up these colonies. They're basically like safe communities for these people. And sometimes it's just children that you know, somebody thinks they looked at them, you know, with evil eye, and now they're, you know, they're run out of town and on their own. And so now these charities and homosexuals are being like hunted down and killed, and it's awful.
That's a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah. And this is the results of these conservative Christian groups going in there and preaching this stuff. It is messed up. Africa desperately needs the secular skeptical movement to go there and help out.
They're saying they're dismembering them, their arms and their legs, and then they're taking their bones for witch doctors.
Yeah. So there's a, you know, there's part of it that's due to the you know, just kind of this superstitious culture that was there before Christianity came, and part of it is due to the conservative Christians coming there afterwards, and albinos. That was the word I was trying to think of. So albinos in the witch doctor culture are thought of as you know, their digits and hair or whatever have magical powers, and so they'll, you know, chop off their hands and things, and you know, it's horrible. And then homosexuals are hunted because, you know, they're thought of as evil, and so they're, you know, trying to kill homosexuals.
Yeah, it says last year, Amnesty International said the macabre trade is also fueled by a belief that bones of people with albinism can contain gold, noting another belief is that sex with a person with albinism can cure HIV.
Yeah.
It says some albinos choose to live outside of their rural communities and instead in protectorates for their own safety, but also because parents are ashamed of their children. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep.
goddamn, the world is fucked up.
Yep.
Remember that, people, next time you're at Starbucks and they didn't make your Frappuccino correctly. All right. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. So that was really the heart of why I wanted to bring up this subject, because as much as I enjoyed the movie, you know, and then I got into the book because I was kind of curious about, you know, what else, you know, or what was, you know, not factual from the movie. I was just curious to learn a little bit more about the story. And it kind of made my heart sink as, you know, as it went on, and it was clear that these people were, you know, just really suckered into, you know, these religious superstitions and things, and how powerful that push is in these communities, because, you know, that guy is there providing chess to these kids, as well as teaching them about Jesus, and giving them, you know, most importantly, giving them food, like a solid meal every day. You know,
you think how counterproductive it is to live in a country where witch doctors are still revered, you know, and people are getting murdered for their bones, and then the catalyst for change is Christians coming over and then preaching another bullshit fucking religion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I can't, the irony there is staggering. But I mean, if it keeps them, I mean, are they taking the Christianity thing, and you saying that they're running with that too, about the murdering of the homosexuals and all that?
Yep. And you know, it's just one bad thing traded off for another bad thing. But at least the Christianity, they're a lot of times giving them some education and access to, you know,
they're not murdering albinos.
Yeah, well, but if they're murdering homosexuals,
it still sucks.
Yeah, and the you know, these conservative Christian groups have really taken hold of a lot of the country's legislative bodies and things, and so they are, you know, putting in place very draconian laws related to homosexuality and things. And so not to be preachy ourselves, when you say these Christian groups, do you have any names or anything that we can sort of reference? Yeah, you know, there's another.
I don't want to be the kind of. I don't want to be the kind of show that just says, you know, these Christian groups.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. There's a documentary about this that I watched, and maybe maybe that's what we should have talked about instead of. But it just
this is way interesting.
Yeah.
Talk to me about a book.
Yeah.
How dare you? Yeah, I just want to make sure that we got some semblance of a source somewhere. Right. So
yeah, I think there's a group, like, specifically from Canada that really focused on, I want to say, Uganda.
Fucking Canadians.
Hang on.
Come on, Gavagai, no dead air.
Oh, maybe it's Ghana that is focused on in this. African Christianity Rising, Stories from Ghana. Is this the one? I don't know if this is the same one that I watched.
Yeah. Well, as long as we know that the information is out there.
Yeah. I'll post a link to the movie. Oh, maybe it's God Loves Uganda.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
That's just an article.
So here's
That's just an article.
Yeah. So I found a webpage. I'm not sure the legitimacy, if it's biased. It says it's not just Uganda behind the Christian rights onslaught in Africa. It's from a webpage called Foreign Policy.
Yeah.
Says for years now, evangelical activists from the United States have been speaking out against homosexuality and cheering on anti-gay legislation all over Africa. Now, in fairness, this article that I found just as I'm Googling shit is from April of 2014, although I doubt much has changed since then, but hey, it could. So And in the picture, it has two guys holding up signs. One says homosexuality plus AIDS equals 100%, which I fucking don't even know what that means. And the other guy says Museveni, which I guess is someone's name. We, the children, thank you for saving our future. Oh, it's the guy they're voting for. Says Ugandans cheer their country's new anti-gay laws. And yeah, it kind of sucks. It says in Uganda, being gay can earn you a lifetime in prison. In February, the East African country was again thrust into the international spotlight after President Yoweri Museveni signed into law a draconian bill that criminalized homosexuality. The high-profile on-and-off battle over the so-called Kill the Gays bill has drawn headlines for years as the most extreme example in a wave of anti-gay legislation on the continent. But the homophobia in Africa is not merely an African problem. And it kind of goes on about homophobic ideologies in the U.S. and stuff. But it says, the now defunct Exodus International, for example. Oh, it goes into a long thing about anti-gay stuff and groups and stuff. But
yeah, the movie was God Loves Africa. Or God Loves Uganda, rather. I'm sorry, God Loves Uganda. And it talks about how these conservative Christian groups, and there's one church in particular it's kind of a sub-denomination. It's not really a denomination in and of itself, I don't think, but it's a very large church that's kind of, I don't know if they're Pentecostal or not, but they really focused in on one or two African countries and have made a huge impact on the culture there because of their focus, like during the 1980s and 90s, and then into the 2000s even, and so it's shocking and really
crazy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never even heard of these groups, these Christian groups, and for them to have so much prominence in a foreign country, I don't even understand how it even got to that point. I mean, is there an anti-gay sentiment because of because they think it's like a gay thing for the HIV and the AIDS and all that? Are they still in that kind of mindset where it's like, homosexual spread AIDS?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been part of the tool that the Christian right from the U.S. has used to vilify homosexuals, but from like statistics that I've seen, it's while it's probably prevalent among homosexuals, the spread of the disease has actually been perpetuated more by heterosexual men than by any other demographic there.
Yeah.
And the education programs,
I'm sure they're PG.
Well, even they don't advocate the conservatives don't advocate safe sex there, just like they don't advocate safe sex here, which perpetuates the problem. Right. And a lot of the education, even where they do, government programs and different programs have emphasized safe sex. It's not done well, and for example, condoms are not provided in quantities that they should be. And so, like I heard about one situation where it was not uncommon for people to try and reuse condoms. They would flip them inside out and things. It's just like, no, don't do that, or rinse them off or whatever, and then they're breaking or. So yeah, it's just
sorry, that's awful. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Well, and when you come from a culture where you try and make use of everything because you're living in a poor community and things, you want to reuse and reduce and recycle but don't do that with your condoms, please.
So here's a few more things. Mass Resistance, a Massachusetts-based organization that bills itself as a pro-family activist group, praised Nigeria when the Nigerian House passed an earlier version of the bill that President Jonathan signed into law on January 7th. In a statement, the group said that African nations are feeling the brunt of the gay rights movement, claiming that the huge spread of AIDS and the breakdown in society caused by the homosexual movement seems to bring more general social destruction in African cultures than in the West. Anti-gay laws in Nigeria have enjoyed unequivocal support from some hardline evangelical groups in the United States, with some going so far as to travel to Nigeria to spread anti-gay sentiment. One such group is the pro-family advocacy group Family Watch International, formed in 1999 and headed by Sharon Slater. FWI, Family Watch International, boasts members and supporters from over 170 countries. In 2011, Slater was the keynote speaker at a meeting of the Nigerian Bar Association, where she touted her beliefs on homosexuality, telling delegates that they would no longer have religious freedom and that homosexuals would prey on their children if they supported fictitious sexual rights. To Slater and her ilk, the rights of the LGBTQ people are imaginary. How kind of fucked up mind do you need to have to even? That is so. It's so alien to me. To even think that way. I mean, truth be told, in about an hour or so, about in a couple hours, no judgment, but I got a D&D game that I'm gonna be playing in a couple hours, right? And I got a friend coming over who I play D&D with, and one of my players is gay, and so for me, it's not even an issue. Like my brain doesn't even work that way. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
Like I don't even understand how someone can have that much like animosity. Like I'll tell you what. There's a show called Black Sails on, I don't know if it's on Stars or Showtime or whatever. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but it has fucking pirates in it, right?
What is it called?
It's called Black Sails. It's fucking pirates. It's actually it's supposed to be the prequel to that Disney story where the people are trapped on the island or whatever, and they're on
like Swiss Family Robinson or whatever, right?
Yeah. And so the first season, the head pirate dude is like some badass guy, and the head, like, of course, it's like the English aren't, it's like every other thing. The English guys are like after them or whatever, and with their fucking powdered wigs and all that shit. And there seems to be like this love triangle with the head like English dude and his wife and the pirate guy. And it's revealed at the end of the season finale, like this dramatic, like the reason that the pirate's motivation for everything is he was having an affair with the English dude, and the wife knew about it, knew her husband was gay, and just kind of kept appearances. But the way they did it, right, it was this really like they were having a meeting, and it was sort of like a flashback, and the wife's voice is narrating, and she's like, she said something to the effect of, "It's because you loved him." And then it shows them like embracing and then kissing, right? They did the slow walk to each other, locking the eyes and stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, and I'm like, that's it? That's fucking it? The guy's gay? Like, who fucking cares? Like, that's it? That's the guy's motivation? Who cares? Like, I was like, I was so distraught because it was such a good show, and it is a good show. But to me, being gay is such a fucking non-issue that I didn't even I'm like, that would be a blockbuster twist in 1950. You know what I mean? Maybe like in today's day and age, that is being gay is a plot twist. Like, are you sure? It just, so when I hear this kind of extremism, it just blows my mind. Like, like, I don't even get it. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just,
yep.
It's like, it's like saying, hey, this guy wears glasses. It's like, who cares? I don't know. It just bothers me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just bothers, especially living in LA, in Orange County. You know what I mean? Like, a full like 1/3 of my friends are like homosexual, and so it's like I don't even. It just I don't know.
Non-issue for you guys.
It's such a non-issue. It's just I don't know. It's like saying someone wore a blue shirt. It's like, oh, he likes dick. All right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a gay bar like around the corner from my house that I've actually been to with friends, and I've been with my roommate once, and blah blah blah. And the reason that we've gone there is because the hottest fucking chicks are there. The most smoking hot chicks in my area go drink there because they don't get bothered.
Sure.
And then of course you run the risk of everyone thinking like you're gay, like so they don't hit on you. Right. Or when you try to flirt with them, they don't get it. They're just like, oh, isn't that your boyfriend? I'm like, no, it's my fucking roommate, dude. I'm not gay. Like, and then they go like, oh, like you're actually, oh, you're trying to put a move on me, you know. And then my cover's busting. Yeah, yeah. And when I'm walking in the door, it's like, nah, I love dick, you know. But when I get in there, I'm all like pussy. So, but I don't know. To me, it's such a non-issue. I don't know. So to go around and like just this archaic way of thinking just always fucking disturbs me. It just with the fucking albinos and homosexuals and stuff, and it's like, wow, man, like just it seems like you're going back in time like hundreds of years, you know.
Yeah.
I feel better. I vented.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a show that at least one fucking heathen rant, but
yeah.
But anyway, whew.
Yeah. Oh, and witch hunts in general. And that's another issue is that they think that the albinos are witches.
well, that part's true.
Yeah, and that's something from the Christian side. But anyways, I think
how do they figure that?
Yeah, like, it's probably in part due to the like I'm using air quotes black magic kind of history and things with the witch doctors and whatever. And if the witch doctors think they're magic, then they probably are magic, and so we need to kill them. So.
Right. Well, I understand from an archaic sort of thought process, right? When they thought like, if you were born under during a full moon, it was an omen, or they just there's a bunch of superstitions. It's more feasible, it's not right, obviously, but it's more feasible for me when someone says, "Hey, a witch doctor thinks an albino, is a witch or is cursed or whatever," because that sort of at least follows their sort of thought process, like their rationale. But when a Christian says it, where the fuck do you get that?
Yeah, left-handed people also evil.
Are you serious? Are you making sense?
Yeah, you've never heard that?
No.
Yeah, like even in the U.S., like probably 100 years ago or something, people would insist that their left-handed children learn to use their right hands because they didn't want them to be evil.
Fucking amazing. That's amazing. Anyway, wow. Well, that was interesting. I'm glad we segued that way. So I think that's just about it. Are we good?
I think so. Do you want to mention your Gene Roddenberry?
Oh, yeah, we could do the yeah. I mean, there was an article that I found that mentioned Gene Roddenberry and had to do with the new Star Trek, right? And I think it's confirmed in the Star Trek that religions are sort of a thing of the past, right? I don't even know. It's been like 4 days since I read it, but
yeah, that was.
But I'm on track with that, right? That was the gist of it. And Roddenberry was an atheist, as far as I understand, right? Which is part of the reason he had a sort of humanist view of the world. And part of him writing Star Trek was a sort of, a vision of that, right? All the races are together on a ship, we're flying around, and and everything's great, and we wear cool uniforms. But there was some conflict in the comment section of that article because in past episodes, whether it's DS9 or the classic episodes where they do mention religion was of prominence, I think Captain Sisko from DS9 gave some sort of like quote of the Bible or something, but I don't know if he did it in a context of where he was a Christian himself, or it was in a context of these were just like words of wisdom from an old book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was more of like an interesting thing because as a sci-fi fan myself, and as like I said, I don't want to surprise anybody, but I'm a nerd and I like that shit. But I never looked at Star Trek. I've always looked at Star Trek as a humanist sort of outlook. I mean, when you think of the Federation and all the stuff, I mean, if any, you would only have to be like partially awake and see a Star Trek movie to understand that. At least to me, it seems pretty obvious. I mean, am I wrong on that, Gavagai? But there was a great clip that someone posted. It's on YouTube, and it's Captain Picard from Star Trek: The Next Generation and his number one, William Riker, and they're talking with some diplomat guy, and he, in this episode, these primitive people thought that Picard was some sort of deity. And if you ever seen Patrick Stewart acting, I think he may just actually be a deity because he's really good. But he gives this sort of impassioned sort of speech about, he's like, no, absolutely not. He's like, I am not going to, I mean, it's wrong morally, you know, he felt to impersonate a deity, especially, but and the prime directive and all that. But he makes some comment like, we didn't move hundreds of years into the future. You know, we left all that stuff behind, like religion, and you know what I mean? Like he gives like this speech, and it's really kind of cool because he's angry and he's like, no, we did not move forward. You know, and it's like, it's pretty obvious. Like they were sending a message there where it's like religion isn't a thing in the future. They've kind of moved beyond that, you know. But it was just a really interesting article. I'm sure you could find it online. I could probably put it in the link if I, you know, wasn't lazy, but I'll probably put it in the link in the show. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, I don't know if you read it. I sent it to you, Gavi.
Yeah, I looked at it. It was good. Well, and I thought it was interesting too that, you know, the actress that they were interviewing, you know, even said that, you know, they were so adamant about it that, you know, she said something like, "Oh my God," or whatever, kind of ad-libbing a line in the scene, right? And they were like, "Yeah, no, you can't say God." And she says, "Well, you know," she thought it was like a rating kind of thing or whatever. She's like, "Oh, I thought I could say, you know, oh my God, but I couldn't say God damn or whatever, or can I say fuck and whatever." And they were like, "Well, yeah, it's not about that. It's about that, you know, religion's gone. So there's not, you know, God is not a thing that this, you know, would be an expression for this character." And, you know, that just the extent to which that this, you know, plays into the kind of the ethos, I guess, for the show and whatever.
Yeah, it's quite defining when you think about it. I mean, I always looked at the Federation, even though like every villain in every Star Trek movie hates the Federation for one reason or another. You know what I mean? There's like, fucking Federation, you know, and like they're just a bunch of guys on a ship going, peace and diplomacy, and you know, they're like generally the nicest people, and the people that seem to fucking hate them. But
no.
It was kind of interesting. Like she thought it was like a ratings thing, you know.
Right.
Oh my God, I can't say God.
Yeah.
But it's like it gives me, you know, it's sad to say because obviously it's science fiction, but it's sort of like it does instill hope. I mean, at least for me, that eventually we'll move past this fucking religion and superstition and all that other bullshit. I sort of move on. Like I feel like I'm in a bad relationship that I can't break up from, you know, with this religion in this country and fucking everywhere. You know, it's like I want to just move on. Let me move on.
Yeah,
I want to move on from all of this.
Well, and you know, you get hope in one circumstance or, you know, one kind of situation, and then you see it somewhere else, and you're like, oh, it's there too. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I got bummed out that group that went to Africa was from Canada because.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's like.
That bummed me out. I was like, fuck, man. Like, really? Canada?
Them too. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. You too, Canada. You're so polite. So, anyway, well, I think that's going to wrap this show. Thank you for everyone for showing up. What I do want to say is if you have any suggestions or anything, please feel free to message us, and we will talk about that said topic in the future, because we're always looking for stuff to talk about, and we're kind of opinionated. Mm-hmm. We're that's actually in my yearbook. Somebody signed in my yearbook, Lee, you're an obnoxious, opinionated asshole, and I love you for it. And I was like, sweet, this is the coolest quote ever in a yearbook. And I was like, and this was before fucking YouTube and shit. So, yeah. So anyway, thanks everyone for showing up, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.